God, I'm actually going to fall off that. I'm going to fall off. Right guys, so welcome back to the channel. Sorry, there is a road literally right there, as you can hear in the background. I've got my phone out because I've got a few notes that I need to tell you guys. We need to run through what's going on with Fiesta. Now, as you can see by the title of this video, what am I doing with Fiesta? What is going on? A lot of people have been asking questions. A lot of people have been assuming things, little bits and bobs. Nothing wrong with that, absolutely. You know, with my track record of project cars, I can completely understand. But trust me, this is the biggest nightmare that has ever befallen me in YouTube land and in life. So, as you can see, the Fiesta is not in its previous location. That location is now completely unavailable, and so are the people with it. Things happen, businesses happen, people have lives. That's just how it is. And it's now sat in a compound with a road right there. So I don't have a ramp, I don't have any tools, I don't have a welder, any of that sort of stuff. So it's not the ideal place really to keep a project car, especially one of this magnitude, let's say. One with these many problems, this much welding, cutting, wiring, all that sort of stuff. You can't really do that out in the open. There's nothing really to help the project, you know, via outsourcing stuff. There's a lot of outsourcing I was doing to actually keep this running. A lot of money was invested in the outsourcing because obviously, as you guys know, you know, if you've watched the channel for the last 3-4 years, you'll know full well that we never do big project builds. It's a modified car review page. At the end of the day, this is what this is. But this befalling into my life, it happened, and I tried my best. At the end of the day, I tried my best with everything that's going on. Now, please stay to the end of the video because I'm going to answer a lot of questions. I have a lot of information to get over, and I have a lot of price points as well that I need to sort of point out, because as a lot of people may not know, I am a genuinely normal person. I don't have an incredible income. I don't have resources and people at my disposal like you may see on channels that have millions of subscribers and that can, you know, do up fancy cars all day long with massive turbos and stuff. Unfortunately, I just do not have the people, the time, or the money to do that. So please, instead of putting a nasty comment below, just hear me out and I will explain everything. Now, a lot of people don't know, this is actually my first Ford I'd ever bought. I'd never bought one before. I'd never had a classic from this generation. I've had a 60s Cadillac that a lot of people have seen. The only parts of welding that I needed to do on that was MOT based, so it was done out of the MOT shop by the people that knew what they were talking about. With this was a completely unknown to me project. I don't know Mark III Fiestas whatsoever. Again, it's my first Ford I've ever bought, so getting into something that you didn't really know about was part of the challenge as well, but then overcoming them problems. From my point of view, I don't know this scene. I don't know the classic Ford scene. I've come from a VW and American car, you know, background at the end of the day. Taking on this project was ambitious. Ambitious being the word, but let's leave it ambitious. So what I'm going to do is talk about the cost, because everybody here that's watching this video right now get on board with how much something costs. Basically, I'm going to break down exactly how much right here this is really going to cost. I've sat down and I've had a good think about how much this thing is going to cost. Not how much it's taken for me to get to this point, but how much going forward this will actually cost to put on the road. So, welding. Now, as you guys may know, and I'm going to do a little bit of overlay now, there is an incredible amount of welding that needs to be done. Both floor pans at the front need cutting right out, even to here, right there in the car, there is complete rust. You can put your hand through it, you can put your foot through it. So that whole, both sides, needs replacing. Now, taking off the front arches, you guys saw that in one of the last videos. Basically, we took those off and I realised that the actual, where we were going to put the Lambo doors, basically, were actually rotten, completely rotten. I could put my fingers through them. So obviously you cannot put or weld a door hinge to something that is completely rotten, completely rusted out. So that was a massive problem, and that was a setback just on its own. Putting the engine in, I saw that the chassis rails at the front, they're actually rotten as well, and I needed to do something about them. They needed to be boxed, or, you know, whatever. They needed treating. They needed something happening to them. The firewall is rotten. I could put my hand through it. The roof, where the roof rails are, is completely rotten. The boot is completely rotten along the bottom. It needs pulling off the car and putting a new one on at the end of the day, and then putting the spoiler on. That's what that really needs. So that's really the bodywork side before you get to the bodywork. So that's just the rust. Bodywork wise, there's bubbling rust all across the front. You know, we did cut most of it off, don't get me wrong, but there is still a considerable amount on the front. It's coming down all of where the actual body kit meets the car is completely rotten all the way along here. So that needs completely taken off at the end of the day, treating and then putting back on. Doors are rusty down the sides here, so they need replacing really. The rear quarters, where the arches have been put on, they've obviously got water in them, and it's meant that they're rotten as well. Coming round the back, obviously the boot floor isn't very happy. There's inside, especially the actual strut towers, in my opinion, are quite rotten. Again, that won't pass an MOT. Any MOT test that sees that will not pass it. So that meant that that has to be treated as well. It has to be maybe cut, boxed, something like that. Again, I am no welder, I am no fabricator, I am no MOT tester. I've taken a real look into the car and assessed the situation in each points and got to the point where I personally think we're £3,000-ish short just in welding, in my opinion. We're talking floor, we're talking the whole front of the car, the chassis legs, the rear turrets, everything pretty much has to be replaced, boxed, whatever. However you would do it, it's going to cost a considerable amount of money in time, someone doing it, because obviously I want to, you know, try and weld myself, I want to have a go, but that's a big job, that's a huge job, and taking that on, it's going to cost thousands of pounds, it really is going to cost thousands of pounds. So welding, I'm at £3,000 at least, and that's not including the time and the money that's already been invested in the welding that's already happened to the car. Now, the engine, we replaced the engine, we put an ST170 lump in it. I bought a whole ST170, broke it down. To get that wiring loom in the car and it working is going to need a wiring specialist. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it with you guys enjoying the content to watch me put a wiring loom in a car to make it work. It's just not going to happen. So getting the wiring loom not necessarily placed in and stuff, but getting it connected with the dials, with everything working, I at least saw £300 to £400 in that. That's literally just getting the right connectors, getting the right people in to run power wires, to know exactly where the power wires need to go for every single little bit in this car. Say £300. So you're at the point the wiring loom is in, the welding's done, you're say £3,300 deep. You need to buy a pedal box, because this will need a pedal box to run that engine at the end of the day. I don't want to put anything else but a pedal box in it, really. Say 500 quid. I know they're not 500 quid, you can get a cheaper one, you can get a more expensive one, all that good stuff, but 500 quid is about the ballpark where I could get it in there, get it hooked up maybe, you know, with all the fittings again. It's all about the little bit, not necessarily just buying the pedal box, but getting it in as well. So say 500 quid. A shortened drive shaft. Now, obviously this engine shouldn't be in this car, so one side will fit, the other side won't, if I remember correctly. Tell me below if I'm wrong, but one of them needs to be shorter. I think a custom drive shaft, and again, this was just looking online at the time, was about £400, I think, balanced and ready to go in the car. Yes, you can get one cheaper, yes, you can get one more expensive. That was the sort of ballpark figure I was going with. So again, 400 quid for a shortened drive shaft. A completely standard interior if we weren't going to put the ST170 interior in, or at least try and fit it in. 200 quid for a full interior. The boot build, I wanted to put a wall of subs one side and then a TV on the other side. So say that sums up to, you know, £300. Just say £300 as a ballpark figure, a couple of subs and a big TV in the back. £300. Making up a new exhaust to obviously go with the new engine, so I wanted a complete exhaust system, stainless steel out the back, using the original 4 cannons that this car came with. So let's go for £300. That's with labour, taking it to the shop, getting it done properly, running the brake lines, because as you can see at the front, there is no brakes on the front. There is literally no caliper, it's just the disc. I was going to put the ST170 front brakes on it, new lines, discs and pads all round, say 200 quid. Bodywork, that's not including the welding, so that's just bodywork in, so getting all of the smooth lines back, getting the doors to sit nicely with the flame that goes down the side just here, all of that stuff. Just the bodywork on its own, say £700, because there's a lot of chips, there's a lot of broken fiberglass bits. We're talking a lot of fiberglass that's been broken over the years, that's been sat, and it's been sat in the shop. Again, fiberglass is really flimsy, so it's going to happen. So around £700 just for the bodywork. Then the respray, I wanted to go for a candy, really rich red. I had some figures in my mind, some figures that I got from some friends, some body shops here and there. We were talking at least £1,000. That's including the labour, the buying of the paint, transport, you know, getting the car to and from the body shop, polishing it up afterwards. So we're saying around £1,000. New headlights, we smashed the headlights, so I need new headlights. Angel Eyes for a Mark III, I think they're around £100 that I saw them for second hand. That is before powder coat the wheels the way I wanted them to by buying 17. So these are 15-inch ones that I bought that didn't really work with the car, so they'll be going. I'll be selling these, so we were going 17-inch. Need to buy 17-inch ones and then get them sprayed white with new tyres. Let's say the wheels are £200, the tyres are £200 again. Obviously they're not, you can get them cheaper, you can get them more expensive, but let's just say £400 I could have the wheels on the car, not necessarily the colour that I wanted, but they would be on the car. So that totals to what? £7,400 before this car goes to the MOT station. Now, yes, you could do it cheaper. You could skimp on the paintwork, you could skimp on the welding, you could skimp on the exhaust. You could skimp on many parts. You could bring that figure down, but it wouldn't be as much. It wouldn't be the car it wanted to be. I didn't want to do this half measures. That's why it took so long, and that's why it's still at this point where I don't want to put little bits of amount of time and money and all this into it if the desired effect in the end result isn't going to be what I wanted. I think everyone, especially a car enthusiast out there, would agree that the little bits of money in and not really getting what you wanted out of the car isn't the idea. Just doing it cheap, especially on the internet, doing this on the cheap wouldn't have been worth it. So say that we're at £7,400 right now to get this to the stage where it's at least MOT worthy. That is a lot of money to anybody. I don't care if you're a millionaire or whoever you are, that's a lot of money to put in an old car. I'm not interested in the residual value of this car. It was for the channel, it was for the fun of building a car and showing that scene. The reality is that's too far away. So what I'm going to do is scrap the car, and yes, that's what's going to happen. And before you say anything, think about it. Scrapping the car, taking the parts off that I need, that I want, and then putting them onto another car is the way to go. So scrapping this, buying another car, completely MOT'd, driving, reliable-ish Mark III Fiesta would be the way to go. So that's what I'm going to do. This is going to go to the scrapyard in the heaven, as it shows in the title. It is going to be scrapped, and I'm going to buy another one, and we're going to take all of the parts, the Lambo doors. I'm going to sell the engine, I'm going to sell the wheels, I'm going to buy 17s, I'm going to do all that sort of stuff, but I'm going to get a running and driving one. Not a pristine one, not a low mileage one, just one that needs sort of saving, rather than one that's absolutely rotten, and go from there. So that's what we're going to do. I have no time scale on this, but all I know is I'm going to break this car down, probably off camera, going to go to the scrapyard, I'm going to keep all the parts, and then I'm going to get a running and driving MOT'd Mark III, and then I'm going to go from there. So guys, I hope that sort of answers some questions as to what's happening with this car. Again, I will be selling a fair few bits off it that I don't need, but there will be a resurrection of a Mark III, but it won't be this one. The reality is this is too rotten. We were chasing rust. Everything I took off was rusty. I know a lot of people will not appreciate that, and they won't appreciate the time and money invested into a project that was just insane to start with. And someone like me taking it on, I've never thought that I would want to take something like this on, especially on camera to everyone that's just judging the way you do things. And it's a constant worry in my head that I'm not getting enough content from this and I'm not pleasing enough people. So the only way I see going forward is by parting this one out and buying a completely different car, but another Mark III, and then going forward with that car. So please, please, please let me know in the comments. It's one of those things that I am not a fully equipped shop. I don't have the welding skill, I don't have the painting skill, but I'm willing to do this, and that's the main thing. If you're willing to chase these things, go and do it. A year in and it's still at this stage, I've got no other option than to scrap this shell, move on with another Mark III. That's pretty much what I'm going to do. That's the idea for the past sort of month. I've wanted to do so. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do, all right, everyone. It's not over. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up whatsoever. Yes, I'm scrapping this shell, but I'm going to keep all the bits that we want, the bumpers, the bonnet, everything, and then it can go on to a better shell. Reshelling this car is really the idea. So going forward, that's the idea. I hope you guys appreciate and understand as well. Anybody else in this position would have given up a long time ago, and I am at the point now where if I'm going to spend £7,000 on a car, I want it to be sort of quite nice to start with. I'm not willing to put that money into this anymore. It's not worth it. So guys, thank you so much for your support on the merch, fydapparel.com. That's how these things are happening. That's how I am able to even have this car sat next to me. This is how the wheels were bought, how the engine was bought, all that sort of good stuff. So please, if you are interested, the Rice Fiesta t-shirts and hoodies are still up on the website. Grab one. Anyway guys, please let me know in the comments below, and if you've got to this part in the video, thank you so much for your support. Honestly, this car, this build was just insane, and I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop trying to get this car done. Yes, this shell, it's over. It's going to be scrapped, and I'm going to get another completely running and driving Mark III and just take it on. And I'm not going to destroy another one. I'm going to find one that needs a little bit of work but has got an MOT, that maybe needs a respray. I'm not going to take a mint condition one and completely destroy it with max power stuff all over it. So remember to like this video. The more likes the better, to keep the motivation going on this project, to keep the fun and the love for building cars in there. And I will see you all on the next video.